Monet 64 here, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. Live stream Wednesday evening, afternoon in the US. Markets are just about to close here. We've seen a panic buying or a squeeze up in the last half hour. The Dow's gone from basically unchanged to now up almost 200 points, up 180. This morning, earlier on, before the market opened, the Dow was down over 100 points. So I would say it's the PPT, the Exchange Stabilization Fund. It looks very blatant to me. Of course, the president and the Secretary of the Treasury run that fund. So we've got a few people here already. Good evening, everyone. Labbook, hi Labbook. Carlos Purchase Galarza, good evening, Carlos. Hi, Darryl. Labbook 84, I made a nice chunk on ACSO PLC. Never heard of that, sorry, Labbook. Good for you, though. Well done. Pablo Pina, Newmarket, Ontario. Hi, Pablo. Neil Koticha, hi, Neil. Jeff Logue from Georgia, southern Georgia or South Georgia. Nice to see you. Best website, hi, best website. Izuedi, hi, Izuedi. Hi, everyone. Nice to see everyone coming up here. I did put an alert on YouTube that I was going to do this live stream. I don't know if any of you guys saw it. Maybe you could let me know. So yeah, right now I'm looking at the Dow of the the chart of the Dow is just amazing. Up until just about 2 hours ago, the Dow was down on the day, and then it rallied. And since around 8:30 London or 3:30 New York, the Dow is just squeezed up almost 200 points out of nowhere. I'm trying to see if there's any headlines here, and I can't see anything. Well, I've just seen here now that Trump and Juncker from the EU Commissioner have said that they have a deal. They reveal their agreement to avert a trade war. So maybe that's why the market rebounded. So that I think that's what it's about. They have a deal. The president of the EU Commission has met President Trump, and it looks like they've averted a trade war and that they have a deal. And that's why it looks like the stock market has gone up. Silver Granny, good afternoon. Neil says he's been watching my channel since last year. Thank you, Neil. Yeah, I've been on since end of 2015. So basically just over 2.5 years. So it's been a while. Coinbot found your channel a week ago here from Pennsylvania. Great book recommendations. Thanks. A lot of people like the book recommendations. I might do another one. I did a live stream called Bookstream a few weeks ago. People enjoy that. Steve says link to live stream didn't work. Well, because I'm not sure, because I've just gone straight to the webcam and I deleted that link. I wasn't sure if it was going to come to my webcam, so I just wanted to do it like this, but at least you know I'm here now. Yeah, Neil, it looks like the stock market likes the news that they've averted a trade war. I personally think the stock market will not be able to trade back to the old highs from the beginning of the year. We're still, which was around 26,700. So we're still about 1,300 points from that level. Right now, as I speak here, we just closed, and we closed right near the highs from June, which was around 25,400. So we are at kind of a month, the highest in the month. There was a high at 25,500 in the beginning of March. So yeah, it looks like the stock market could go higher in the next few days. We'll have to see. So Jeff Flog, you were 30 minutes late. Did I say 8:30 London? I might have made a mistake. I'm sorry about that. I was out and I came home. I ate something and I was in a bit of a rush. But yeah, I'm sorry about that. But I'm here now. Jeff Logue says, didn't Trump come out with a 25% tariff on European cars? I read that as well, but now it's come out on Zero Hedge that they have a deal and they've come to an agreement, the EU and the US. President Trump has met the president of the EU Commission, Juncker, in Washington. So I have to look into it after I finish this live stream. Today's topic, Daryl, I'm just taking questions. Yeah, no real topic, just any questions you want to ask, really, and I'll try to answer as best as possible. Oliver, hi Mario, do you think the US 10-year is going over 3% soon? Yeah, let's see. Right now we're at 296. It has spiked a little bit intraday from 294 to 296. Yesterday it went to 297. I think if it in the next week or so, it could go back above there. But if it doesn't, if it fails, it could come back down. It certainly seems to be a resistance right now, that yield, or a support in the bond price. So, Kempa Mitya, when do you think China will follow Russia and dump U.S. treasuries? Wow, yeah, it's possible. They're kind of doing the same stuff, buying a lot of gold. It's difficult to say when. If things keep getting worse in terms of trade conflict between the two countries, also military, military, action by the Chinese in the South China Sea. The Chinese keep expanding, their forces. You could see things heat up, and China eventually, start dumping some of its treasuries. But right now, they haven't done what Russia's done. It would be quite significant because they have a lot more treasuries than the Russians used to have. Yeah, Billy has passed out with excitement. That's right. He's on the sofa, starting to snore a little bit. Gary Croft, 25th of July 2018, 4:25 p.m. The largest gold nugget found in British waters for 500 years has been discovered by a man lying face down in a river in Scotland. Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, there is gold up in Scotland, also in Wales, in the UK. Jeff Richards, why hasn't EOS performed? I assume that's well. Well, lately it's done quite well. Today it's outperforming like Bitcoin and Ethereum, EOS. But yeah, a lot of people expected it to do really well after the mainnet launch. It did. I think we went up to like 15, but it's followed all the other cryptocurrencies down. I still believe in the project, and it's still early days, in my opinion, EOS. Eric, Mario, if the stock market crashed and everything was cheap, what would you buy if you had to? I'd try to find blue chip stocks, I guess, that I know would probably be pay good dividends in the future. Yeah, that's what I'd try to do. And it doesn't have to be stocks. You know, if the stock market crashes, if housing crashes, could buy property as well. Pablo Pina, what do you think will happen to Venezuela? IMF forecast year end it will reach 1,000,000% inflation. Well, Venezuela, I think I don't know what's going to happen there. It's usually when you have hyperinflation like that, you get a lot of societal problems. You get revolutions. We could see, yeah, things could get a lot worse before they get better in Venezuela. Kampa Mitya, thank you for the super chat donation. I appreciate that. Gary Croft, 87 grams. Oh, he was using a snorkel, right? He was snorkeling. Worth 50,000 pounds. Nice, nice. There you go. Steve Ince, Mario, do you think that the blockchain cryptos could be a way forward for the pension crisis coming down the line to be averted? No. I saw that headline. There's a story related to that. I'm not sure how the cryptocurrencies could solve the pension problem. Yeah, you know, no, I don't see how, unless all the pensions funds went into cryptocurrencies, you know, saw a massive gain, liquidated it. But don't forget, pensioners still need an income. They need to be able to have built a nest egg and then be able to one day retire, to put that in a annuity or some kind of fixed income instrument. But with interest rates where they are, yeah, and the demographics, cryptocurrencies and the blockchain is not going to change the demographic problem, which is that there's a lot more older people than younger people. You know, the tendency is to get populations get older, and there's going to be a lot less people working to pay for those state pensions or in general. So I don't think it will. I'm not sure. I haven't read the story. You know, maybe I'll read it and change my mind, but overall, I don't think it will. Daryl Lowry, Trump's trade wars has resulted in him exercising extraordinary powers to protect U.S. companies from his trade policy. Well, he's protected some companies, but he's hurt consumers. He's hurt farmers, small farmers. He's had to give subsidies to big commercial farms in the U.S. So yeah, you help one sector or one sector of the economy or one kind of voter or taxpayer, and you hurt the other. I don't think these tariffs, or they never work. I think free market, free trade is what it's all about. But unfortunately, we don't have free trade, and we don't have free markets, and we don't have sound money. That's the most important thing we need. Sound money everywhere, and then trade becomes more fair, in my opinion, or fairer. Tristan Marsh, do you think the 12 billion in farm aid was the first bailout of the coming collapse? I saw someone say that it was a bailout of the coming collapse. No, it's got nothing to do with the collapse. This 12 billion in farm aid. It's just to placate the big farmers in the U.S., commercial farmers. It hasn't helped the small mom and pop farms. It's because the trade war is always tit for tat. So Trump doesn't want to lose his base, so he's buying votes, but he's not bailing out anyone. Well, indirectly he's bailing out, but it's nothing to do with what we've been talking about of the fiat money system and the credit boom. It's just something that he's done that's you're going to help one sector, and then foreign countries are going to put tariffs on the goods you export, and a lot of it in the States is full, farm, agricultural. Yul Aushana, as you stated earlier, how is Japan a global issue if they raise rates? Well, because Japan, the Japanese yen is a source of liquidity for the markets. So if they start raising rates, all the people that borrowed in yen are going to suffer, and they're not going to be able to pay. All their loans are going to go up in value. So it's like you borrowing money, and then let's say you're in the States and you borrow, or let's say in Europe a few years ago, people in Eastern Europe were borrowing in Swiss francs because the mortgage rates there were low. And then the Swiss franc went through the roof, and the people in Poland and Eastern European countries got screwed because they couldn't cover their mortgages because the Swiss franc went up so much. So if Japan start raising rates, the Japanese yen will go up. People who borrowed in yen to finance investment speculations, they're going to be in trouble. They're going to have to short cover the yen and liquidate a lot of risky, assets. Hi, Ben Gray, bom dia. Yeah, that's Portuguese for good day. Tim Martin, hello from Tampa, Florida. Is it possible you could talk about builder stock in Home Depot, Lowe's are falling? Don't really follow those too much. So, I mean, they would, I think the key thing for these stocks is to keep an eye on interest rates. If they start rising, mortgage rates, 10-year yields, then look out. They could, suffer. And also the oil price keeps going up. There's, people are going to consume less, spend less. Eugene Clayton, do you believe in pension funds or just anyone having their own savings plans? Actually, I don't really believe. I don't buy this idea of, you should retire at a certain age. Yeah, I'm more look after yourself. Maybe sometimes have a pension fund, but not with all your money. Maybe, sometimes it's tax efficient. But yeah, I think people should do their own thing. You don't have to invest in stocks to save, for your pension. You could invest in property or other things, or gold, or precious metals, or cryptocurrencies. Billy's getting a bit. He's barking almost because he's hearing dogs outside, so he might bark. Labbook 84, is it okay only to hold gold? Silver takes up much space for the amount I need. Yeah, gold is less bulky, right? I have some silver, but not as much in terms of monetary value. But yeah. DW, they say to buy when there's blood in the streets. I looked out my front door and I didn't see any blood, so should I wait to buy? Well, yeah, that's, I mean, yeah, that's of course, it's not, how can I say, it's an expression. I personally, there are people out there buying the stock market and they're doing well. They've done well today in the last half hour. But that's if you're an insider, you're close to the U.S. Treasury, J.P. Morgan. Uh, J.P. Morgan, for example, they deal for the Exchange Stabilization Fund, and you can bet that when they hear that, they see that direct line flashing from the Treasury on the dealing desk, and let's say the market's down, and they see the Treasury calling, they're already buying, the futures. So, but yeah, because they're part of the club. No, he's a cheerleader. Mash the like button. Thanks, No. No. Daryl Lowry, would you add a Stellar Lumens link for contributions? Yeah, I will do that when I finish the live stream. I will put it because it's going to be recorded and it's going to go on my YouTube channel, and I'll put it in the description. Stellar Lumens. I do have an account with some exchanges, and I can find a link. Stellar Lumens. Thank you, Daryl. Stellar Lumens. Steam it. Okay. I've got the Steam it right here. Hold on. I think for Steam it, you just send it to, yeah, I'll add one for Steam it, an address. Okay. Let's see. Eric L. Mario, if you had $100,000 to invest, how much would you put in each? The bank, cash, gold, silver, another. If I didn't really need to spend that 100,000, I wouldn't put any in the bank. I would put, let's say, 2/3 in gold and silver, and a third maybe in cryptocurrencies, or maybe actually 3/4 gold and silver and a quarter cryptocurrencies. Maybe EOS. I like EOS. Yeah, and even Bitcoin, some Bitcoin, but not. I wouldn't put it in the bank. Maybe hold some cash, like $5,000 in cash, well hidden away. Campamicha. I like trading oil on Wednesdays, 4:30 when IEA. Yeah, the markets move a lot. The other day is non-farm payroll. It's the first Friday of the month, usually at 8:30 New York time, 8:30 a.m. The markets do move a lot on that day. Non-farm payroll. Yeah, Fed meetings, ECB meetings. You see the markets move a bit. H. Cohn, do you agree with Martin Armstrong? I used to read Martin Armstrong ages ago before he got out of jail. Over 10 years ago, I started reading, and I used to like a lot of this stuff. To be honest, I haven't really read much of what he said right now. Tony Blaylock, if the U.S. goes by the way of Japan, they will have zero inflation and own everything. What would that look like for the U.S.? Well, it's just more debt. Look at Japan; they have about 200% debt to GDP, national debt. Be more debt, more stagnation, more Fed. The Fed would own more and more assets. A lot more inequality, I would say. Worse for the middle class. Yeah, it would just be really not good. I think markets and economies are like forests. You need some forest fires once in a while to keep the forest healthy. And they don't allow forest fires anymore in the markets and the economies. And but it will change because it's not sustainable. Bobby Blake, hi Mary. If America does go into hyperinflation, do you think silver will be useful for barter, or will there be complete chaos? No, I think silver will be useful, and I think hyperinflation, the chaos doesn't last for too long. It will last maybe for 6 months, 12 months. It won't be pretty, but it doesn't last forever. Even in Weimar Germany, they got out of it fairly quickly. Yeah, silver will be okay. I just saw any way to verify BIC saying Deutsche Bank has 550 million euro loss per year until 2030. I don't know. I mean, that's an estimate he has. Um, I don't know if he's got any contacts there. It's a public company, but 550 million isn't that big, I would say, for such a big bank. Considering they've got about 40 trillion euros in derivatives, notional. Darian Oliver, how much longer do you think our current monetary system will be in place? I know it's not a great answer, but not much longer, I would say. It's not sustainable, the fiat money system like that we've had since 1971. And I think more and more bigger countries, important countries, are getting away from the dollar. So yeah, I mean, maybe the Economist magazine cover from 1988 will be right. We should be close to it. But it's not the end of the world. Other countries have had, I mean, I grew up in Brazil until I was 18, went back a bit still. And I think during my lifetime in Brazil, we had probably 2 or 3 different currencies. It just, the thing to protect yourself is make sure you don't have too much of that currency, i.e., money in the bank. Make sure you, yeah, buy hard assets, pay off your debts. Yeah. So you just have to get used to a new currency, a new way. In Europe, they've done the same in the last 20 years with the euro. The other currencies didn't collapse, but they converted it into the euro. And people, I remember in Italy, I went there in the 90s a lot. And they had the lira, and 10,000 lira wasn't that much. You could buy a sandwich probably for 5,000, 5,000 lira. And then they had to get used to the euro, where you need maybe 3 euros or 5 euros to buy a sandwich. So you're just going to have to get used to different numbers and different prices. And that's what happens. Dam Runner, been watching JM Bullion 2018 1 ounce gold eagles, and they are for sale for less than the stated best price at 54 over spot. This happened twice. This seems odd. Coax, so bored watching this. Well, you can always leave, Coax. I'm not forcing anyone to be here. Oliver Bristol, how can a novice learning technical analysis separate good sources from rubbish? You mean the source for the charts? You can keep your own charts. You can buy graph paper and chart yourself. Follow the market. During the regular hours, take the high, the low, the open, and the close, and you can do it yourself. But there's barchart.com is good. Investing.com, they've got good charts and they're reliable, I would say. Barchart.com and investing.com. Bathrobe Baller, why not buy rental properties? Is there a hedge against inflation and you can use them to generate income? Yeah, no, a lot of people do that. And aside from being a hedge against inflation, it's also a hedge against banking collapse because property, will always be worth something. Like you in third world countries, if you have property, you might go through 2 or 3 currency collapses over 40 years. But if you leave that property to your heirs, they'll still have it. It'll still be worth something in another currency in the future. The only problem with renting is that don't forget that you have the upkeep, you have, if you the people in there, you need to make sure that they take good care of the place. Sometimes they don't. So there is a lot more than to just having the property and getting the rent. There's all the upkeep, the maintenance, and everything you have to think about, and the taxes. New Zealand gold. Did you see that Ted Butler interview with Chris on the Chris Martinson channel? If so, do you think what? Yeah, this J.P. Morgan about buying silver. I have said in the past that J.P. Morgan is one of the biggest. Well, I think they are the biggest futures broker, even though they're an investment bank. I worked in the futures market for 20 years, and I had a lot of clients that had accounts with J.P. Morgan, and they did trades through me, and I gave up to J.P. Morgan. So a lot of this silver could be for clients. We don't know, and J.P. Morgan is not going to tell us. So I think a lot of what Ted Butler says could be speculation. Who knows? Any chance for US dollars to act pre 1971? Well, the way for them to act pre 1971 for dollars would be to go back on a gold standard, not 100% gold standard, because even then, I think there was a 40% cover. But we'd have to go back to the Bretton Woods system. Roma Lawal, I now buy 1919 Threpen silver coins. Thanks for your advice, man. Yeah, they're good. They're quite small, but they've got silver. There's no VAT. You can buy the ones from before 1919 as well. They're all 925 silver. What hard asset? Live 84 asks, well, anything that you can touch and you think will hold its value, that's up to you. Works of art, land, farmland, buildings, stamps, anything that you think that you can hold on to and you think will be worth something in the future. Darian Oliver, what do you recommend for an amateur investor for just starting out? As a millennial, I was about to invest in Facebook and tech, but guys like Kiyosaki and Mike Maloney have convinced me to stack some silver. I would say that you need to, do some homework. Don't be an amateur investor. Read Kiyosaki, Maloney. There's also books about value investing. Benjamin Graham. Read about Warren Buffett. He's done well. Read. Do your own homework, and you still got time. Gold and silver they're just like I would say the safest kind of money. They're not really investments, but it's good to have instead of having the cash in the bank. Cobra Coin. Are you still following Lindsay Williams? He has new info out recently. Yeah, I'm not. I saw that latest video. Don't know what to say really. I don't. Ever since his real elite friend died, I don't think he's had too much information from them. Yeah, he's Yeah, a lot of this, I don't know. I mean, one thing he said a few years ago is that they were going to pump the system up and in debt, pump the debt up, and they're doing that. But I'm not sure. Uh, yeah, the Williams videos. Not sure that if they're as valuable as they used to be in terms of information. Dr. Honeypot. What's up, Manap? I think we should go to a physical metal coin for money, and I think we should have a crypto backed fiat currency backed with those coins. It's possible. I mean, I always think that the market should decide what money is. So yeah, I mean, what I like to see is central banks be abolished, but that won't happen until the general public is asleep, as they are. They have no clue as to how the system is so, uh, detrimental to their financial health. It's a system stacked up against them, and it only helps the bankers and the people close to the bankers, politicians. That's what central bank is all about. Um, what we get, it should be up to the markets. Pablo Pinamaro, in the case of auditing the Fed, what scenarios could play out? Uh, there won't be any audit of the Fed. That's the scenario. Why audit the Fed? Why not just abolish it? But, people have tried to audit the Fed, but it goes nowhere. Politicians, not only in the US, but in the rest of the world, they're bought and paid for by the bankers. So they'll never do something that's going to hurt, you know, the money source. Yeah, I have read Taleb. I have some of his books, Black Swan, Skin in the Game. I haven't finished reading Skin in the Game. They're all good books. Do you have kids, Mary? Yes, I have one daughter, Labuk. Uh, Dr. Honeypot, there's an old school m- memo called RuneScape that all children should play once they are age 10. Haven't looked into that yet. Can teach a lot and it's fun. Bobby Blake, some preppers say that when banks stop lending, the supply chain will come to a halt. Could the powder grid shut down if this happens? Yeah, I mean the whole of the Western economy is hanging on a thread of credit. So if the credit system seizes, the whole transport, goods, it will all be disrupted, and they're right about that. The thing is, I think the last time that could have happened was 2008. And that's why we had the massive bailouts, TARP. But if it happens again, politically, it will be difficult to do. But at the moment, they've been able to keep it going because they're printing money, right? The central banks are doing QE. They've kept it going. Charlotte Grove and the Fed, I agree. Bobby is hi, Mary. Bitcoin to 45,000 this year. I don't know. I don't know where it's going. I mean, the next level is 10,000, the key technical level. Uh, what's his name? Forgot now. Cliff High said there's going to be $100,000 parties at the end of the year for Bitcoin. Don't know. It could go anywhere, I guess. 45,000 is possible. Russia increases retirement age in stages. Men 55 to 65, they're not happy. Well, that's why I think you should always try to look after your own retirement. Don't depend on the government and their their rules, I would say. Vincent DB, hi Mario. Have you read the article about the Bank of England is integrating blockchain based products? No, I haven't. I will have a look. No, I haven't. But it's not going to be for any good. The concept of the Bank of England is still corrupt, and fraudulent. So Eugene Platon, Mario, can you organize a mentoring group? Uh, I mean, this is for me. This is like a mentoring group during the live stream. People asking questions. I don't know any other way to do it, except if you call me personally on Skype. But Charlotte Grove, JP Morgan, evil manipulation of precious metals needs to stop. Well, it's not only JP Morgan, it's all the major bullion banks in the US, in the UK, in Europe, and the central banks and the governments are all behind it. The question is the old saying, who guards the guards? No one's, there's no, they're in charge. Philip Troop, hello from Russia. Hi, Philip. Nice to see you here. Kathy Kirk, can you speak to Trump's placing 4 new people on the Fed's board of governors, his strategy, outcomes, purpose? Well, yeah, there's been these empty places and Fed board of governor. He'll probably put people that are dovish. He likes cheap money. So that's what he's going to do. I just wish he'd just abolish the damn thing or ask Congress to do it, but he won't, of course. Clown with Twitter account. How much of the threat is China debt? How much of the threat is China debt is? Didn't quite get that question. Jay Sheely, hi Mario. What's keeping the 10-year yield from breaking 3%? Well, it did break 3% earlier this year. It's probably, the Russians, they were selling treasuries in April and May. That drove yields higher. But right now, I don't know. It's probably a lot of manipulation. The same banks that manipulate gold and silver, they also probably talk to the Fed, the Treasury, and they try to keep, rates below 3%. Because believe me, in the 90s, if the stock market was as elevated as it's now, yields would be going up a lot quicker. The markets were much freer then. And with interest rates where they are and unemployment, even though I know they're fake numbers, and unemployment rate so low, jobless claims so low, the 10-year yield should be 4 to 5%. This doesn't make any sense at all. So that's why I don't believe in all they've got a problem because they keep selling this story that the economy is doing well, but it's not because interest rates are still really low. So it's all screwed up, unfortunately. Labbook 84, I have to tell you that I look forward to your daily videos while I have my morning coffee. Yeah, that's nice for you to tell me that. So it was good, encouraging feedback. I appreciate it. Clown with Twitter account. Will UK and US impose Social media tax? I don't think so. I think that would be very unpopular with their voter base, the young people. Well, Eugene, yeah, I'll think about that. But you could ask me a question here, any topic, and if I answer it properly, you can, uh, contribute on the super chat right there. That's the easiest way. You can pay me, whatever you think is fair. So that's the best way to do it through super chat. But I'll think about how I could do this kind of session outside doing a live stream. Yeah, China is the bank for the United States. It's the United States' biggest creditor. So Japan's one of the bigger ones as well. The European Union as well. Three dogs and the camper. Do you think that the Australian real estate bubble bursting will have global implications? Um, Maybe, but Australia seems to be quite separated. But it could be like the first domino to fall. Dam Runner, what is the best way to learn to buy gold and silver in the private market? Do you take a course when you had your shop? Uh, well, I knew already quite a lot about gold and silver before I opened my pawn shop. But I bought it as a franchise, so the franchise did do a course about that. So, but the best way to learn is just go online, Google, and yeah, there's a good website called taxfreegold.co.uk, and they've got all the specifications of all coins from all over the world. I know it's a .co.uk site, but it's really good. So you can learn how, the how fine the coins are, their weight, and all the bars as well. Taxfreegold.co.uk. I recommend that. Pablo Pina, Mario, if Iran blocks the Strait of Hormuz, how much do you think oil will climb and precious metals? Would there be war? If they block that strait, I guess oil could go to $200. Gold will probably go to 2.5 to 3,000. War, probably. Yeah. Eugene, yeah, send me a message through YouTube, like a private message, and then we can talk, and I can give you my Skype um, address, and then we can set something up. Yeah, go into my YouTube channel and private message me. John Roberts clicked in. What panic at stock market did you see? Yeah, in the last half hour, sorry, the Dow went up. Let's see here. It went up almost 200 points. Panic buying. That's what I saw. From 3:30 to 4 o'clock, the Dow basically went from 24,250 to almost 24,500. So out of nowhere. Apparently, it was because of news of a deal between Trump and the EU on trade. Lord humongous, the U.S. has had lots of currencies. The Federal Reserve note is a bad joke. Yeah, it's not even it's an empty, it's a debt-based, currency. It's not even backed by anything. It's backed by, monopoly power. Constitutionally, of course, gold and silver are the currencies in the US. The outsider, who can people trust anymore for investment advice? Good question. um, you need to do a lot of homework. You need to listen to a lot of people and just make your own judgment on what they say. That's all I can say, really. So let's see if there's any more questions here. Clown with Twitter account, is gold getting cheap for masters only, like deep state? Well, I think, as Lindsay Williams has said, the elite, their only currency is gold, really. So yeah, you can bet they have gold. Facebook down 9%. Someone said something about that earlier. They must have had their results come out. Kirsten Strand, how can anyone trust mainstream media news? They spin the story to hide the plunge protection team. I agree. That's why I don't listen to the news anymore. I don't even watch television anymore. I do watch sometimes a movie or something, but uh, you know, the news on TV, I don't watch it anymore because it's just ridiculous. It's all brainwashing, not only in the U.S. but in the UK as well. Jay Sheely, when will stock buybacks run out of steam? Well, I think if interest rates start going up very quickly, yeah, because the way they do the stock buybacks is that they borrow money via, issuing bonds. But if the cost of money keeps going up, they'll stop doing that. Dam Runner One, thank you for the super chat donation. I appreciate it. Girl, OG, haven't seen TV for over 10 years. Yeah, that's good. I mean, my sister knew someone from Barbados a long time ago. Had a friend at university, and the guy was quite connected. I think his uncle was in the government in Barbados, and even this is 30 years ago, and he told me, "Oh, I don't watch television." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "Well, because it's all rubbish." And that was 30 years ago. I haven't watched in ages. Not maybe, yeah, about 6, 7 years. I haven't really don't watch the news anymore. So yeah, it clears your mind. Philip Troop, Marshall Swing. Yeah, Marshall Swing is predicting a big event by the 20th of July to the 28th. So we're right there. Uh, I don't know about these things, and he might be right, but he's using Bible prophecy and things like that. I mean, how many times in the past have people predicted huge events because of Bible prophecy and nothing's happened? Um, and I don't disagree with what he says about the system. I just not sure if we're gonna get this major event. It should be happening Friday or Saturday, according to him. Sash Media, is this live from 8 p.m.? I started at 9 p.m. today from London. I think I did note that I was going to start at 8:30, and I'm sorry, I got confused and I started at 9. So I'm going to keep going for a while longer. You know, there's still over 180 people here. Thanks, Jir OG, for your super chat donation. What is, and Jir OG is asking, what is your thought if one country doesn't have any gold? Here in Norway sold all the gold back in 04, about 50 tons. Yeah, I mean, Norway is a very rich country, and you have a huge sovereign wealth fund, you know, probably the biggest. And I'm sure your sovereign wealth fund probably has mining stocks. So indirectly, you do own gold. And of course, you have oil, which is probably running out. But I would say that Norway should probably buy some physical gold. If I was, you know, there and I could advise the Central Bank of Norway or their sovereign wealth funds, I think they should acquire, and they should store it in Norway, physical gold. I mean, they store they have seeds in Norway, don't they? So Carlos Peresantala, thank you for the super chat donation. Your insight is always welcome. Thank you. Oh, thanks, Carlos. For those of you who don't know, Carlos used to be, when I worked as a futures broker, I did do some gold futures for my clients, and Carlos was the broker on the floor of COMEX. You know, there's still a floor, and Carlos was my broker. I was a broker as well, but my firm didn't have a broker on COMEX, so we used Carlos as a contact. So I've known Carlos for many years. Daryl Lowry, Harry, yeah, and he even took me down on the COMEX floor once. Harry Dent is so backed up, his eyes are brown. X power driver X, X power driver X. Do you believe the US official unemployment figures, or are they just being used to show everyone as positive? Well, the figures are true, but the thing that's tricky is that the way they calculate it, they strip out anyone who's not looking for a job but could be unemployed, right? The figure to look at is the labor force participation rate, which is around 62%, and the number of people out of the workforce that could be in the workforce, which is 95 million, right? That unemployment rate that you see, you know, 3.8 or 4%, that's just, it's like taking, you know, let's say you go to a party and there's 100 people and 90 of them are drunk. But you only take the people in one room and only 10 of them are drunk, and you say, oh, only 10% of the people are drunk in the party, right? But you only counted one room. So that's the US unemployment rate. And of course, the mainstream media, Wall Street, the government, they focus on this number because it fits their agenda. It sells to the public, you know, their system, fiat money system. It says, oh, look, everything's great. You know, don't worry about it. You know, keep investing in the stock market. Look how unemployment is so low. And the mainstream media, you know, CNBC, Fox Business, or Bloomberg, who are they paid for their advertising? Wall Street, right? So that's what it is. You have to come to Monaco 64, I guess, to find out the real state of the US economy, and others like me, not just me, of course. Kathy Kirk, you're welcome. Clownwood Twitter account is a Catholic Church part of the deep state? Yes, definitely. Jesuits as well. I agree. Well, there's a letter from Paul Volcker when he was president of the New York Fed in 1977, and he thanked the Vatican for letting the Fed use Vatican gold to manipulate the price of gold. So, yeah, what do you think? Jesuits are the people who started the spying and intelligence. And why did they start? Why was the church involved in that? Well, because they had the best network. They had all the churches around the world, and people went to confession. They went to tell all these priests what they were doing. So it's a great network, wasn't it? It's like Facebook. The confessional. Facebook is like the Roman Catholic Church of the 21st century. I'm not saying Mark Zuckerberg is a god or anything. He's just a new pope. I guess that's a good topic for a video. Lord Humongous, Mario, isn't it true that the Rothschilds and Bank of England have been manipulating gold prices for a long time? Yeah, definitely they have. I think the gold fixing started in 1919 at the Rothschild Bank, which is across the road from the Bank of England, very close. And some people argue that they're very close, the Rothschild office, Smith Newcourt and Threadneedle Street, only a couple hundred yards. Some people argue that their vaults are connected. They're gold vaults. Daryl Lowry, thank you for the super chat donation. I appreciate it. Colarge, do you think decentralization is the way to go? Yeah, I think decentralization is always good, but it has pitfalls. Nothing is, easy, but the less centralization there is, I think the better, That's why I actually think instead of getting like a one world order, we're gonna go revert back hopefully more to like regions, even city states. I mean, Italy and Germany before the 19th century, there was no country of Germany or Italy. Italy used to be city states, Germany principalities. I think that's better than having centralized states. The federal government in the U.S. would be better. Marcus Yeagle, hi Marcus. What do you think? He's asking, what do you think of the current resistance price in Bitcoin? No, I think it's 10,000, Marcus. Looking at the chart, 10,000 is the level. If we break 10,000, we could see, a big move. The previous one, I think, was 6,800, I think, or that's what, and then we got up here. I think 8.5 has been the recent high. The last 24 hours. Looter 92, what do you think about Bank of BCCI? Oh yeah, well they were a Pakistani bank, and they were involved with the biggest movers and shakers in the US, in the UK, Bank of England. A lot of corruption went through there, and they collapsed. I think it was in the 90s. Bank of Credit and Commerce International, yeah. A lot of dirty business went through there. And it was a Pakistani bank, but they were, I think, based in London. So very corrupt. And that's not to say that the present banks are not like BCCI. Colarge, thank you for the donation. I appreciate it on Super Chat. Jay Sheely, with the Fed increasing the amount of quantitative tightening, who is buying these bonds? All the other central banks. ECB, Bank of England, probably a lot of the big technology, NASDAQ companies like Google, Facebook, Apple has a lot of cash. Yeah, they buy treasuries. Because, they can't be bothered to buy real money, buy physical gold, because they'd have to store it somewhere safe, and that would cost them money. So they're just lazy. They just buy treasuries. That's it. Simple. They don't think, of that there could be a problem. All right. Okay, I'll take another 2 or 3 questions, and then I'll call it a night. Been on for over an hour. So let's see here. Girl OG, is the trade war over now? Europe and USA have come together now. Uh, well, that's what they've announced. Maybe between Europe and the US it has, but not between the US and China and other countries. Uh, we'll see. And maybe this is just for consumption, public consumption. Things could deteriorate, but I haven't really read closely at what happened between Trump and Juncker when they met today. But it helps, I guess. Stay content. Uh, I guess that's in relation to what I said, that they're buying treasuries. Uh, yeah, and he says there are no dividends on gold, so companies don't buy. Well, gold is money, so there's no dividends on cash either, unless you lend it, right? So, but I would argue that a lot of the bonds these companies are buying, they're actually losing the money, even though they're getting a coupon. The coupon is too low. We all know inflation is a lot higher than 3, 5%. If you're getting 2 or 3%, it's not really that great, is it? So that's it then. Thank you everyone for participating and showing up. Um, I'm not sure when I'm going to do the next live stream. I'll try to get it done maybe on the weekend, Saturday or Sunday. I'll let you know. Yeah, thank you everyone for the super chat donations. I'll also put the Stereo Lumens and Steam link in the description of this live stream on my YouTube channel for those who want to donate Stellar Lumens or Steam Dollar or Steam. Thank you very much.